Welcome back to Hey Kentucky. You know, aside from the loss of life involved with the coronavirus, the most troubling thing for most people is the economic impact it is having. So to talk more about that, I am pleased to be joined by Michael Clark, who's the director for the Center of Business and Economic Research at the University of Kentucky. Thank you, Professor Clark, for being with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I know it's difficult because to assess the short-term and long-term impacts of this, because we're still right in the middle of it, and it's something that we haven't seen before. But if you can kind of talk about short-term and long-term impacts, what we need to be most concerned about.
As you mentioned, this is a really different situation than what we've seen in the past. We try to look at historical recessions to guide us a little bit about what's happening here, and they don't quite fit the situation that we're experiencing. But what we're really experiencing is a sudden, very significant decrease in economic activity as we start shutting down businesses as an attempt to control the spread of the virus. And so, this has been very different than what we've seen in the past. And of course, what we're really seeing there is significant loss of income as people are either losing their jobs as their employers are shut down or as they're getting fewer hours. And so, I think that's kind of the biggest concern for people right now. They're seeing their income declining. There's a lot of uncertainty about when that's going to change. And then they're also seeing declines in maybe retirement savings as the stock market has been hit by this. So, I think really those are kind of the two big concerns that I think most people out there have is how is it affecting their income? How is it affecting their retirement savings? And how is this going to change over the next few months or the next couple of years?
Yeah, and it's still so unknown. I'm wondering if you think, because people are so anxious to get back to work, to get back to their normal lives, is there an economic effect to reopening up the economy too soon?
Well, it could be. There's really a trade-off here. It's easy for us to get concerned about the economic costs associated with this and to incorrectly compare what we're seeing now to where we were before and just say, hey, this economic cost is really significant. But probably the more correct way to think about it is how would this current situation, what we're currently seeing in terms of lost jobs and income compare to if we didn't have these types of policy responses to contain the virus? What would that scenario have looked like? And, it appears that, we would be looking at substantially greater numbers in terms of loss of life. And the economic impact associated with that, while it's really unknown, that could be significant too, because if the virus were to spread much more rapidly and much more dramatically, it could have affected a lot more sectors and possibly had a more significant impact on critical sectors, such as the supply chain for food, for medical care. And so we really have to be careful about thinking about, well, yes, there is an economic cost to this, but what would the cost have been of not addressing this virus with appropriate containment policies? So as we go forward, we start thinking about opening the economy. What we'll have to think about is whether we can do that safely. Will we have the infrastructure in place to continue monitoring the spread of the virus and contain that maybe more rapidly than what we could have done a few months ago? And so, as we go forward, that's really going to be the trick, is understanding how we can maybe start seeing the economy come back, but still protect society against the impact of the virus flaring up again.
And does there need to be a plan in place where these type of businesses can open up first, these will remain closed for a little bit longer? And is it a slow process versus just saying, okay, everything's back?
I suspect it will probably be in most states a slow process as we really start to get a sense of how effectively we can contain this. So I think, while the closures were fairly quick and dramatic, you did see them phased in terms of things where we thought we had great exposure by having, like large concerts, other types of gatherings. We had a lot of people and you had great exposure to the virus being spread. And so what I think is going to happen going forward is, it's very likely that states will look at what is the risk for different types of sectors. How quickly could they again be contained if needed. And so it's probably going to be kind of a phased in, and then we'll, once we kind of open up one portion of the economy, then we can kind of see how we're doing with that and see whether it's appropriate to move forward. But it's hard to say exactly how slow that would be. I don't know if that's over a period of weeks or months, or just how quickly that would be.
Thank you so much, Michael Clark. We appreciate your insight, and we may be tapping into that again in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Much more Hey Kentucky right after this.